1986. I'm now reached the age of 40 years of age, and saying is, life begins at 40. Well, I've reached the age of 40, and life hasn't started at 40, but hopefully it will start in the next 2 years, when what I'm doing now, which is a boat in a garden, will be finished. So hopefully life will begin not long after 40. But looking back on 40 years of life, well, we'll see. My first memories really of childhood, you could say, I remember being taken to school when I was 5, and my birthday was in June. It must have been late summer. I remember the smell of salads and salad cream and new potatoes. And that really was one of my first memories. I should imagine the two main influences in your life really is your family and school, education system type thing. You spend 1/3 in school, 1/3 at home. On the family side, I think I was lucky to have a father really that had excelled in some ways and maybe failed in other ways, but he wasn't typical working class, and that's one thing I can't overemphasize really. He wasn't typical, so anything that may happen later to me or whatever, I think it must be down to him. My mother was really, and my father always have said this, that in some ways she was typical working class, but for himself I don't think he was. And maybe, but going away from this part of it really just now, we'll revert back to when I was 5 years of age. I entered school normal, like any other child, and started learning English, maths, etc. I found when I was maybe after that, just over 1 year, I had problems on the English side. The maths and everything else was alright. I found I had a problem on the English side, and this was a crucial part in determining what happened to me in later years. So I can't overemphasize it's played an important part from that time onwards really, but the English side wasn't as good as it should have been, and this affected me later in school. But having left school, it affected me the kind of job I got, etc. So I had to compensate really all the time up to this present day for this part. And my father was same in this field really. So I don't think it's a question of laziness, it's a question of there's something chemically makes it difficult on this side. And I was very concerned really with Julian and Annie in this field as they was in the early few years of life on this score as well. Having mentioned Julian and Anne, we really going past quite a few years of my life, so we'll forget for the time being Julian and Anne and go back more to my early years. But in school nothing particularly happened. I went from the age of 5, 10 and finally to leaving school at 15. My standing in school was low, due mainly because of the English. So I didn't need school with anything at all really. You know, it was on the lower side, not on the upper side. So no gains at all from school. And maybe in those days the job was quite easy and inevitable, I should say, really. I finished with the mines. So I went into the mines, you could say. So from the age of 15, 16, 17, things just went along. But I don't know if everybody feels the same way, but I never felt it was my vocation or whatever you could say in life. And late teens, something clicked or whatever, and I had to get out of that situation. By this time I was married, and I don't know how you put that into perspective really. Somebody should go back again and see how we did in that situation. But in the end meant I left the mines. It's very difficult to put into words really. I had one or two girlfriends, the last one being Claire, and I knew her for about 18 months, something like that. The result of that, Julie was, you could say, in the pipeline, and we got married. But I don't know how important that part was. I don't think it was that important really. If I'd been single, I think I'd still had left the mines when I did, and that was maybe a side issue really in some ways. Well, I did leave the mines at the age of about 21. Because it wasn't really me at all. And something inside, I'm not sure in what respect, but something told me I had to go. So we left the family, and our family I was quite close to, especially my father, to go live in Somerset, a place called Watchet. And I looked around for a job and I got a job in paper mill. So I had to rebuild what I had created in the north. I had to rebuild down there. And I started in this paper mill on the lower type of job, and I eventually made myself to quite a decent position in that mill. When I made myself to a decent position, I had maybe one of the first setbacks in life. English being the first, and maybe 2 or 3, but at this time it was a setback. I was found to be colourblind. My job I used to do in that paper mill was colouring paper. So it's quite a setback at the age of say about 25, I would say, to find yourself in a situation where you could go no further in that job. I had to give the job up and go back to where I was before. So maybe most people thinking in the early 20s that life is open to them and opportunities are open to them, and I think most people believe in their case life is going to give them something where the majority of their life continues in the same pattern. I could see all my determination really to what I wanted to do had been foiled in that pursuit of that job. Well, again I started back and started working to get in another field, and so I started again in this other field which I was saying just now. But there's problems at this particular mill, and I was taken back to where I used to work before, in the colouring section. So I went, but of course I couldn't go colouring because I was colourblind. So I went back to where I originally started. So I'd done a complete cycle really in these 2 or 3 years of getting somewhere, trying somewhere else and going back and find myself in the same position as I was before. But ironically, just before leaving the mill, I was actually made the colourman on the top machine, colouring the paper and all this type of procedure, and the manager of the mill knowing I was colourblind. So it was a victory, really. You could say equivalent to, I don't know what type of situation, you get somebody on television where somebody does something and he's got no legs or no arms. So I actually made it, you could say, in a sense. I was actually given the position of in charge of a machine, colouring paper, and they knew I was actually colourblind. So that's where I actually finished up. And over time we lived in Somerset, as we lived in a caravan, which you could say is an important part, really, in the present day, and the old picture, really. You should understand this. You're not to cut this part out as an insignificant event. So when we first went to Somerset, the only accommodation I could get down there was a caravan, and that's the only accommodation we ever had in Somerset. For the 7 years we lived there, was in a caravan. And I was quite happy in this situation because we lived very close to the sea, 200 yards from the sea, that's all it was. With, you know, but you had no way of getting onto a council house list, which would wait years in that situation. So you had to buy your own house, or, as we did, buy a caravan and live in that situation until either decided to go to buy a house, if you say the money to buy the house, or you put your name on the council list. But I was never one really for houses or property to say this is mine, or, you know, I didn't want to get in a situation where there'd be mortgage. So I didn't particularly mind this. But as you might invade itself later on, but 7 years in the caravan, and looking back at my 7 years in the caravan might explain a bit of what's happening at this present day. So looking on the work side of it, and the colour blindness of the job is one side, but the other side really is a standard of life we had, really, which was quite low. We always, me and Clem talk about this to this day now, really, is we used to buy these cream buns on a Wednesday, or Tuesday, Tuesday or Wednesday. We paid for them on a Friday. This Spanish come round the caravan site and was that low on finances that the only way we could have these buns on a Tuesday was to pay for them on a Friday. So maybe that fills you in, really, on that side of it, and not just beside the work side. That's about it. But I always remember I was about 27 mark, thinking I was in a situation with caravan. It was quite old. It was probably Brazil when we bought it. But all these ideas and all this ambition I might have had, not ambition regarding making a managing director, but my personal ambition, what I wanted to do, and all my ideas looked a bit as if I wasn't going anywhere. And Clem remarked, I remember those days I would stay awake till early hours in the morning, talking about what I believed life was for, what I could do with life. And you commented, you know, you're always talking about it, but you don't do anything, you know. The situation we're in now, we're in a broken down caravan, etc., etc. And whereas I was talking, they're getting us, you know. I was just to say, for instance, that we've got a better life than, for instance, my sister and her sister, who had their own homes and cars and whatever else we had. But we was actually in a better situation. Although we didn't have the as a house, but we had the beach a few yards away, better environment. But she can never see it that way. And she always used to say, well, why can't it be more typical? And There's nothing I could really argue about, really. You know, but it was looking, not grim, but it was looking as if life was going into a pattern that was going to be very difficult to break. When I said break, you get breaks in life. And the break in life really came when I was 27.